and welcome to Instant Impact Events with your hosts, CJ and Cheryl Williams. In each episode, we cover event-related subjects from how to put on events, event planning, audiovisual, and event production. At events and in life, it only takes an instant to make an impact. So let's jump right into today's topic.
Hi everyone, my name is CJ Williams.
And I'm Cheryl Williams. Welcome to another episode of Instant Impact Events.
Yes, thank you for being here.
We're happy to have you. So, what's going on? What's up? What's new?
I'm just getting organized.
Oh, okay.
Organized.
I love the beginning part of the year because you start getting into new routines and new habits and new
prepping.
Yeah. And so we've been doing a lot of that here lately, and that's why today we are ready to bring you another topic that is near and dear to all events, which is event types, right?
There's a lot.
And I think that's one thing that a lot of people don't understand, especially people who are in the event industry. And even those that are, you're kind of in your lane, and your blinders are on and you're focused. And so, you know, if you do weddings, that's what you do. You do weddings, right? Or if you do...
Nothing else matters.
Right. It's like that's your focus. But we want to expand it out today and really discuss what are all the different facets. Now, we're not going to cover every single one. Because
too many to list.
That would be, forever long of a podcast. That's the other thing about our show is that we want to keep it, short and sweet to the point. Everyone, has lives and things going on, and so we want to be able to come to you, weekly with some nuggets, some information, some helpful tips and strategies, and just some things to think about in your, event career and path that you're on. And so, we don't want to make them too long-winded. We want to jump right in, get right to the point, cover it, and then that way, you're able to take the information and really utilize it.
Yes,
and and that's why we're having this conversation today about event types, because maybe you're doing a certain event type and you're like, you know what, I want to do something different, or I want to have a different type of event that I'm working on, or maybe I want to incorporate some other types of events into what I'm doing. If you're looking at having your own event business, being an event planner or an audio-visual company, you can have your core, and then you could have some, there's no way you're going to be able to do all events, right?
Yeah, it's
and
too many to list.
If you're doing certain ones, expanding out into others is kind of the next progression of things to be able to expand that out.
Yep.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about are corporate events. And that's a lot of people think about, weddings and corporate events, but what is a corporate event and what does that really entail? I mean, you have, conferences and those are, large corporate conferences, and also smaller, more niche.
Big companies have them once a year to get together so everybody can get together and plan
they could
and meet.
And they could be, rather large. They could be thousands and thousands of people coming to the conference, or there could be, a couple hundred. So conferences, normally when you think of a conference, you're thinking about, a venue that's more indoors, that is
conference centers,
hotels that have that type of venue space with it.
Takes a lot of space.
And then the next one are seminars. Now, seminars are very closely related to conferences. It's just normally a little smaller and more niched, and more specific of a topic usually.
Right, because it can be in so many different subjects between real estate, motivational,
business,
and on.
And so there's, and that's the thing with events is there's an event for every type of industry, every type of person, there's different events for different people.
Yes.
And so conferences are kind of like your bigger ones. Then you've got seminars. And then the next one under that are meetings. Some people...
Even meetups.
Yeah. I mean, that would be an event, right? A meetup would be an event. And those are all things that people don't always think of, like, that is an event, though. A meeting is an event. You're setting a time, you're setting a location, you're setting an agenda of what's going to be covered. Normally there's some sort of theme or decor, audio visual, all those things. So that's an event as well.
Projectors, setting up screens to show their PowerPoints, to show their properties.
Yep. All that. And then the other one are workshops and classes. And that's a lot of times people don't think, well, that's not an event, but it is, because it's kind of the same thing. You're setting something up, right?
Yes.
You're putting together
in an organized fashion.
And you're picking again a date a time, a location, what type of event are you having? You know, if it's a workshop or a class, you know, what are you going to be covering?
There's going to be training.
What kind of setup are you going to have? So that
it might be really simple, but it is an event.
It is. And so that's something to think about too. You know, the bigger the event, the more planning time there is that comes into it. The longer you need to plan things out because there's just more moving parts. There's also, you know, getting, you know, thousands of people at an event.
Yes.
You have prep time and lead time versus if you're going to get, you know, 10, 20, 100 people at an event.
Yes, you can do it.
You can do that
a little last minute.
Well, not even last minute. It's just you don't need as much plan, prep, work.
You can make it happen.
There's not as many moving parts either, right? And so that's another thing. Also, there's networking and leadership events as well, and those those can be small or they can also be very big. It depends on how big the networking event is. It depends on how big the organization is. It's having a leadership meeting. And again, those are events. Now, a lot of those are more business type of events, but networking can be, you know, you could have a dating one for networking, or you could have, you know, a mom networking group, or there's all different, that's kind of like the meetup thing. That's more of like a networking. You could have, you know, smaller sectors of different type of
even cocktail hours that they have at a meetup. Just go for it and have a drink and
that's where
meet somebody.
The next, you know, after we're talking about corporate events, you have like social events. So you could have a corporate event and a social event together if you're doing a conference or a seminar, and then you have a lunch, or you have a cocktail hour, or you have something else along those lines.
Yes, even a dinner.
The other ones are summits. Those are normally smaller events.
Right, just a couple
more
days.
Intimate, a few days long. Those are, but again, events. Same thing with like retreats. Those are events as well. Summits and retreats are normally smaller, more intimate, more sometimes a higher ticket for that as well. So it depends on the atmosphere that you're going to have at those, but normally those command a different approach than a conference would, because there's a different result that you're getting from that. Yep. Same thing with trade shows and expos. That is a totally different setup than a conference or a meeting or a seminar.
You need a lot of space. A lot of breakout rooms, a lot of mics, a lot of projectors set up. Booths in each room with sound mostly. So.
And for those, you just think you need space.
Lots of space.
Because you might have sponsors, you might have a main stage that you're working with, and then you have the different expo booths or trade, you know, booths. So those
even
are all
in the seminar room sometimes.
So you could have a lot of different looks and feels to that, and yet when it's trade expo, you're just looking for space. But again, that is a totally different type of event than a workshop or a gala or a conference.
Right, and you do want those breakout rooms as close as possible, as close as you need to your main conference room.
And then another one, I just said a second ago, are galas. And those could be kind of under like a social type of event, but normally they lean more towards the corporate, because galas are normally either charity events or black tie events, or you know, one of the big ones that you think of is like the Met Gala, right? Well, that's more of like an art event with a dinner.
With a dinner and drinks.
With it, right? So that is a social event, but it's more on a corporate type of scale when you think of that. There's also VIP events. Maybe someone, you know, purchase something and this is something that they get with it, or it's for a very exclusive group of people that are in a certain industry or in a sector.
High ticket something, right?
So, but normally it's smaller, more intimate. It's also, you know, those VIP events, there needs to be something special going on at the event because it's VIP.
Like a seminar.
No, so totally different look, different feel, different. Just a whole different landscape.
You have to put a little more work into it to make the look and feel awesome, and you want to be there for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. Then we have something a little bit, you know, different than those, which are rallies. You know, political rallies and other types of rallies. Those are events, even though they have the name of a rally. You have indoor and outdoor rallies. Normally there's a main stage, but then you have a lot of space. Are people going to be standing? Are they going to be sitting? Are there going to be sponsors? Are there going to be booths? Are there
both?
Right. So again, it's sometimes it's not so cut and dry of like we're doing this type of event. Sometimes it's you're doing this event and you have a little bit of this and you have a little bit of that and you bring it together for your type of event. Definitely if you're doing trade shows and expos, that's a different type of event than, you know, rallies or conferences. So knowing your niche, but some of these do blend well and overlap so that you could say, okay, I like these, so maybe I can add a little bit of this into, you know, if you're looking at, you have an event planning business right now or an event production business and you're saying, well, you know what, I want to take this year and I want to expand. I want to add another type of event. Well, which one of these events that we're talking about would flow well into the events that you're already doing or the experience that you already have, right? The same thing with, if you're talking about, maybe you have an AV company and you're wanting to, you know, expand what equipment do you have right now? What niche are you working on? And how can you incorporate another type of event that flows well, that you would already have a lot of the equipment for? Maybe you need to get a few other things for those types.
Yeah, you might have to grow a little bit.
Right. But it's seeing where you are. Where's the foundation that you've already built? Now, if you're fresh, brand new, you haven't, you know, you don't have your own business, maybe that's something you want to do, or maybe you're looking at, you know what, I want to be an event planner, or I want to, you know, be an event coordinator, and these are the types of things that I enjoy, or I've done this before, now I want to add this onto it. So having an idea of what skill sets you already have, what equipment or tools or resources you already have.
What alliances and what you need.
And what have you already built up, or are you starting fresh and new and from a clean slate? And it's like, you know, I want to go in this direction. So go in that direction, but know what the possibilities are. And then know if this is the direction that you're going, how can you expand that? How can you make that bigger? How can you grow that down the road by adding some other things into it that flow well into what you're already doing?
The next one would be product launches.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of companies out there that have an event specifically for a product launch. You know, all kinds, you know, whether it's makeup or electronics or the whole, you know, the whole gamut. There are product launches that are events specific for that.
Yep, and it'll be a half day or a full day.
Sometimes it's an evening. Sometimes, you know, it is over a weekend because it's a launch and people to come, and maybe there's other things going on at the launch. Maybe you have speakers coming. Maybe you're just showcasing the product. Maybe it's more of an evening type event, maybe a cocktail hour where, you know, you have that event. But those again, what
small
is
cocktail tables.
What is the primary purpose of the event? And if it's product launch, then you need to know that. And then how are you building that out around?
How are you going to have that product everywhere? You got to get creative for sure.
Yeah, and there's a lot of different ways depending on the product, right? And how you're going to showcase that. Yep. Another one is team building. There are a lot of team building events, and there's a lot of companies who would like to do more team building events, and they just don't know where to go and what to do. So if that's the direction that you want to go, you want to bring teams together, you want to cultivate those relationships, you want to grow that culture for businesses, that could be something that you're going after. And so who do you need to work with? What do you need to do? What type? You could research that more, but if that's something that, you know, sparks an interest in you or something that, you know, that you're interested in, then you can go that realm. You can also incorporate that into several other things that we're talking about. Maybe if you're someone who's doing corporate events and they have their annual, you know, large conference that they have, you could suggest to them, hey, how about we do in between that? Because you have that one time a year, everyone's getting together. It's like the rah-rah, and everyone goes off, but then it kind of fizzles right after that. How about we have smaller team building events throughout the year, or smaller meetings, or all these, and it's up to you to kind of have the ideas, because again, these businesses, they don't know what they don't know, right? They're like, well, this is what we do, this is what we've done for years. Well, how's that working for you? And what can we do to improve that? How can we take that to the next level? How can we help them grow their business while we're also growing our own business, right?
And it makes that company grow also and be stronger and make more money.
And it shows them that you're not just looking at it for, well, we're doing this. You're looking at it for them as a whole, as a business. How can you help them grow, expand, work on the culture, work on the, I mean, there's a lot of companies nowadays that everyone's working virtual, so no one's seeing anyone. Could you do a virtual event? You could. But could you also bring everyone together for a weekend or for a few days through the week or every few months? It's something everyone's looking forward to.
They want to get out the house.
Right. And it's also, you know, if they're geographically all over the place, you could have some different ones, you know, geographically located for people as well. So that's why we wanted to talk about this, because it's so immense and vast on what you can do, but also sometimes you have to think outside the box. You have to be the resource for these businesses that are already coming to you.
Bring something new.
And that's the other thing is like, if you have your own business, or if maybe you work for another company and you're their event planner, or you're their event coordinator, or you're their audiovisual person, if you can, it's harder to go out and get a new customer than it is to service the customer you already have. So if you have someone that you already, well, not even that you're going to lose, it's how can you continue to grow that relationship and expand that? How can you have them do more events? Help them to see, doing more events would help this here, right? So build and expand the relationships that you already have cultivated. And instead of saying, well, I need to go out and get X new clients, what if you just need to put together a different plan to consult the clients that you already have on how you can do more events with them and how that would be beneficial for them and their business and their culture and their group. And bring that together. So, and that's the other thing is, there's tons of event companies out there, right? There's tons of event planners and audiovisual companies and all these things. So what you were talking about a minute ago is very true. Is like, you don't ever want to just say, well, they've been with me for X amount of years, so they're always going to be with me. No. You always want to be going above and beyond.
Stagnant.
You always want to be, creating more for them and cultivating that relationship, helping them to know that you truly value them and their company and their event or whatever you're putting on.
Yes. Get creative and show that you care.
Because guess what? Someone else can court them just as easily as you could, right?
Yes.
And so just like any type of relationship, if you let that relationship go stagnant, they could go somewhere else, right?
And they
will. Why are they staying with you? What are you doing? How are you cultivating that relationship? Especially if it's an event that you only have once a year with them. What are you doing throughout the rest of the year?
Every year has to be different.
To cultivate and to grow and to expand that relationship. So no matter what, they always know when I need an event, this is who I go to.
Stay in contact with them.
When someone else asks them, hey, who does your events? They say, you're the person. You're the I go to them for my AV, or I go to them for my event planning. I go to them for my event production.
Yep.
If you are having your own events that you're putting on yourself, right? You want your clients and customers to continue to come back to you because you're continuing to expand and evolve and grow and change and
produce
and make that event the best it can be. Because we know a lot of people who they have an event and it's the same event that they've had for the last 5, 10, 20 years, right?
Even longer.
But we're in a different perspective, a different year, a different age. You have to, even if you're teaching the same information, you need to go about it a different way, change it up a little bit so that it's fresh and new and current for what you're talking about. One, because people will come back. And you don't want the same experience they had 5 years ago to be the experience they have today. It needs to be fresh and new.
Or the same stories.
Correct. You want to change things. You want to, you're not the same person, at least I sure as heck hope that you're not the same person that you were last year, 5 years, 10 years. So neither should your event. Your event should be growing and evolving. The same thing with you in your event career or event path or event business that you have. You should always be growing and expanding and evolving and changing and leveling up, right? We're in a new year. It's a new day. Every day is new, right? How are we treating our business or our position or our career or our events as fresh and new and coming at it from a different perspective? And how are we making this one better than the last one? How are we going to blow their socks off? So like, wow, that's the best event I've been to this year. That was better than the event last year, right? That's the feedback that you want to be hearing. And that's the whole point about putting on events. It's not just, here's an event, it's X amount of days, here it is, come go. Done. You want it to be an experience. You want it to be an immersion. You want it to be something they talk about and remember and laugh. And that all comes from you. Being passionate about what you're doing, but also
putting yourself into the event.
And then also looking to do your best, be your best, take it to the next level, push the envelope.
How can I make changes? What was wrong with that certain thing? Always make a tweak or a change to make it better. Have a meeting with yourself, with your crew. What can we do better? With your clients, what did you like? And when we're done with events, we always sit down and say, okay, what went well? What went well with this event? Because you got to acknowledge, okay, what won? But then you also got to ask, what could be better or more improved from this?
What did we do well, and what could be better or more improved for the next event? Not even their next event, for the next event that you're having with whomever that might be. You got to learn from this one to continue down the path. Not so when you have their event again. So when you have your next event, it's okay. We're going to take what we learned from this one. We're going to grow and evolve, and we're going to do this differently, or we're going to do this better.
And you're also going to use that to train your team better, also, because sometimes you might not be there. So you want your team to know that this is not going to fly, but this is awesome what you did. Acknowledge when they did something great for the event. Because it showed they cared.
But that's also how you grow and expand. Like, if you're a one person, one man, one woman show, you're only going to be able to do so much, right? The way that you grow and expand is by generating a team. Well, the way you do that is by having certain expectations, certain culture, certain values, certain things that you have for your events. Then when you bring on other people, you're instilling that in them, because that's what you already do. And then people are gonna gravitate towards you and towards that because they know that you have a certain level of expectation for them.
And the next one is recruiting.
There's lots of recruiting events that are going on for all different types of recruiting. But that's also an event. So when you're thinking about that, now again, a different kind of event. It's an event, right? It might be a couple hours. It might be a full day. It might be a weekend. There's all kinds of recruiting events.
Sometimes it takes a lot of room, also, because it matters how many. Even an Army and Navy has.
They have recruiting events all the time. Sometimes they're small, in their offices. Sometimes they're really big because they're bringing things on. There's recruiting events at colleges. There's the whole gamut of recruiting events. So again, that is an event, and it can be dovetail with other types of events that you're doing, if that's something that is of interest to you in a direction that you're wanting to go. The next one are social events. Now, like we said, galas could fit into social events. Normally they're more on the corporate the corporate perspective of things, and yet they are a social aspect of that. So then there's themed parties. Now, this could be, for a family. Maybe they're just, having a get together. Maybe it's,
reunion.
There's reunions around here too. That's another one that we talk about. But themed, so it's more like party type of atmosphere with a specific type of theme, and maybe there could be weddings that are in there, right? That's one type of it. But there's also all kinds of, maybe you're having a Valentine's Day party, maybe you're having a 4th of July party, maybe you're having, and some of these could be corporate, like businesses having these events, but they're definitely Christmas on the parties. Social aspect, right? Of things. Maybe you're having a Halloween party. Well, that's themed for sure, right? For sure. And it's definitely very social, because you're not having normally you're not sitting down having a conference at that, right? And
they're ready to jam.
It's ready to go. Banquets are another social type of event, and
most
again,
likely with food, right?
Food. If it's a banquet, you've got a lot of food. You're going to have either long, tables of people on both sides. You're going to have rounds, but it's normally a banquet. The way you think of a banquet is, it is an event, revolving around some type of food.
Yes, and you will need more space for that, for those giant round tables if you use those also.
And you want people to be able, normally there's a dance floor. So you want people to be able to get up and mingle and walk around, not feel like they're just so closed in. And so when you're looking at your events, that's, helps you know kind of what you're looking for, the direction of the events that you're going. All right, another one, balls. Kind of along with gala, but it's different. Normally they're more opulent, definitely like dance floors. There could be, was that you putting your tux on?
Yeah.
Okay. There could be
bow tie.
There could be food, but sometimes there's not. Sometimes a ball is more of just a social gathering. That normally there's drinks served, and
awards.
There could be awards going on. There could also be that at galas. So again, there's some overlap on some of these, but definitely they're very social in aspect. Less teaching, less
your hair
sitting, and it's more prim and proper and dressed up and ready for an evening out. And most of those are evening events, balls and those types of,
And we already said about reunions, family reunions.
That's another great social event. And then weddings. Weddings are another big one. Weddings are their own category in and of themselves.
Sure.
Normally, if you are in the wedding business, that is the business that you do, right? You're doing all kinds of weddings.
You've seen it all.
And so there's lots of different kinds, there's lots of different types. You have indoor, outdoor, you have, religious ceremonies, you have some that could have the food aspect normally, sometimes it's not. So it depends, but weddings, if that's the direction that you're going, normally you would be a wedding, in the wedding planning business or having a wedding event or a wedding venue.
Photographers.
Yeah, that's normally kind of your niche. Now, not saying you couldn't do other things on there as well, because you could, but again, what are you known for, right? And so people are gonna, if you're the one stop.
Be known for. Yep.
Right, and you could always pivot and change, but just know that would definitely be more of the social event. Then we have fundraising events, and those are very popular, especially at certain times of the year. They're more popular, and
like auctions.
Yeah, there's auctions. It can be a fun. Now, there's there's car auctions, there's house auctions, there's silent auctions. But again, no matter what, that is an event. Okay, and a lot of people
likely for charity too.
Sometimes they're for charity, sometimes they're not. It just depends. We've seen those big car auctions and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Those are an event. Most of those aren't charity. Some of them are. Give them a paddle, look out. Then there's also fundraising events that are more like sales based. So maybe you could think about as small as like the community bake sale or the school bake sale for something, or a church function or event where there's some sort of fundraising going on because you're selling certain things different than the auction.
Pastries.
That you're still or there's ones where they put the baskets together, right, and people bid on the baskets. There's the silent auction with some sort of sale going on with your event.
And the next one would be sponsored.
So there's tons of sponsored events that go along with fundraising. Sometimes people are coming and it's sponsored by X amount of people, and then people pay to get in, and that money goes towards it. And then maybe they bid on something there. Maybe there's an auction there. Maybe there's a sale. So there's all these. But again, all of this, they're all events. And at the simplistic form, like you would slap whatever name you want to put on it, it's an event, right? Whenever you're bringing someone together at a specific date, time and location, right? And you're doing something, it is an event, right? From the smallest.
Even in your house.
Right, we have events all the time, whether they're themed or not, whether it's, brunches or whether it's, Christmas types of events or anything, like whether you're...
Why not?
It's all an event. And I think that the main thing, when you think of an event, you're thinking of it's an experience, right? Event should equal experience. The whole point of getting people together, whether it's to teach them something or to sell them something or for charity or for social aspect, it's to create an experience. And you as an event professional, no matter where you are on the scale, whether you're, event production, audio visual, event planning, putting on your own events, or, a myriad of all those things, your main purpose, event equals experience. What type of experience are you giving to the people coming to your event? And that's, if you always look at an event as an experience, you'll be miles ahead of everyone else. It's not just, well, it's today, this is the day. Here it is, come in. It's like
no emotion.
What is the lasting experience? What is the takeaway that you want someone to get from this event? And that is the passion. That's what's going to set you apart from everybody else in this industry, is experience.
Correct.
All right. Another type of event are festivals. And there's,
all kinds.
When I think of festival, I think of like those medieval times festival ones, people all dressed up and stuff.
Music festivals.
Oh, okay, that one too. Yeah. I've always wanted to go, and you see them eating those like turkey legs and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah. There's one up the road that comes, it's in Larkspur. It's not too, it happens like, I think in the late summer, early fall. I have to check that out. Yeah. But anyways, I digress. We could get a costume, dress up the kids all medieval.
Okay. Come in dressed up.
We gotta get back to our topic. It was though, it's medieval festivals. Okay, music festivals. Now, we're not talking about some music festivals that have been very popular here lately where you rent an island and you like do the whole thing.
Yeah, get some tents.
And
some rap artists.
Let's not do that. Let's have a solid music like Coachella, right? That is a music festival. It is an event. It is an experience. It is something that
yearly
people look forward to every single year.
Yep.
Any type of concert, any type of that is an event. It has a name. It has a title. At the end of the day. Event. Why? Because it's an experience. It's something people are looking forward to. They're going to have something they're taking away from it. So, music, festivals, music concerts, music whichever's
fun.
Event.
Right. How about art festivals?
So there's a lot of them. Sometimes towns, down like Main Street, they have like
or once a month.
Those. There's also
I love those.
That's always nice to look at local art. There's also galleries that have certain times when they open it up and they have. And again, it's an event. It's a certain time, a certain date. Certain things are being served.
Yep.
Sometimes there's a ticket price.
Artist.
Yep. Well, music and
on both,
and all kinds of artists.
Support.
Yep. And then another thing is religious festivals. There's a lot of religious events that go on. The more that you're in like the religious communities, you'll know more of which those are. If that's something that's very near and dear to your heart, that would be a very easy transition then, because you already know about it, right?
If you could create your own.
Correct.
Yeah.
And if you don't know a lot about it, then you could always learn. But if that's something that you already have a background in, experience it, then it would be easier for you to be able to then curtail events towards that, because you know what you're doing, what the outcome, what the experience is supposed to be from that. There's also, which we touched on very briefly, community events. There's sometimes those community garage sale events. Sometimes there's community. We live in a planned community, so they have events here. For different holidays that go on.
Even sales.
There's all kinds of events that are going on. And again, that's not a corporate thing. That's a local community neighborhood type of thing. It could be a citywide type of. So there's all kinds of different. Now, one that's become more and more popular here lately are the pop-up events. Normally they go into like a retail space and they set up an event, right? Because it's going to come and go. It's not going to be there for long. Normally a day or two or a weekend. It comes in
for anything.
And
for art, clothes,
makeup, all kinds of stuff.
You go. I should know.
Did you put it on today?
No.
Oh, darn it.
I forgot.
Okay. And then over these last couple of years, something that people didn't really think much of events before.
Large pivot.
Are virtual events. Just because, anyone who's in the event industry over these last few years, if you wanted to continue to be in that industry, you had to pivot. Whether you were putting on your own events, whether you were hosting events, whether you were planning events, whether you had audio visual, you had to change and pivot and do more virtual.
Right. Even the AV companies had their own virtual events.
Yep.
They pivoted.
And that's good, because now when things do settle back down, right, and go back to normal, eventually then you're going to have the option to do both, because now virtual events are not some taboo thing. It's not just like a Zoom meeting or a FaceTime or something like that.
Right.
It's an actual experience when it's done right. Now, there could be, virtual events that you're just talking to the camera,
and that's
but there's actual like platforms and softwares, and you can have your
something
setup
different than Zoom,
and all these different things to create again an experience. Even though you're not in the same room with people, they're still feeling like they are, because the experience that has been laid out and what you're talking about and the setup before and after and during. So virtual events is a whole nother aspect now of the event industry. And now we're kind of going back to having more in-person events. But some people are not. So now we have both. You can do in-person and virtual. And then sometimes there's a hybrid of you can still do your in-person, but then have the virtual part of the in-person, so people can come live, or they can watch it virtually. So we have kind of the best of both worlds now, where you can just do one or the other, or you can make a hybrid where you're doing both, either the same event as both, or you alternate and have different. Some are live and some are virtual.
There you go.
So there's lots of things to think about when it comes to event types. And as you can see, we covered a lot. There's all kinds.
A lot more.
And so the main thing that we wanted to get across in this is, what kind of events are you wanting to do? What kind of events are you currently doing? How could you add other events in that align with the type of events that you're doing to increase your business, or to, increase the events that you're doing? Some are in the evening, some are during the day, maybe they're luncheons, maybe they're weekends. I mean, there's all types of events now that dates and times and places, especially with them being virtually. I mean, you could have an event here and someone across the world, it's a totally different day and time and for them, right? So when it comes to your event business, the main thing to know is, what do you enjoy? What do you want to do? What do you want to be known for? And then start heading in that direction. You have to give it some thought, right? And then the main thought is, no matter what type of event you choose, make sure that you are putting on the best event, creating the best experience for the business, for the attendees, for yourself and your company and your brand that you're putting out there, because that's how you get repeat business.
Have fun with it.
And that's, I mean, events should be fun.
They're supposed to be.
They should be. And yet sometimes we get so overwhelmed with everything and all the stuff that it's not. Take a deep breath.
It's robotic.
Right, and enjoy it. And remember, this is sometimes someone's first experience with you, with how you put on events, with that company or that business or that event. And so make it the best experience possible each and every time. Sometimes we, the more we do things, we kind of just like go through the steps and check out the box. Yeah, we did that. Yep, I did that. Okay. But again, remember, this is an experience. And when you come at it fresh and new and clean each and every time, it's going to create that experience, especially when you're asking yourself, what can I do to create an experience this time? What can I do to make this better? How can I improve this? How can I take my business or my events or my company to the next level by bringing up other people's businesses or other people's events, whether that's personal or whatever your business may be, that you're helping your client have the best experience possible with their event as well. Anything else you want to cover on today?
That's it.
All righty. I know we ran a little bit long, but I think it was jam-packed full of information. So we look forward to coming to you next week with a brand new topic. And remember,
we'll be here.
We will be here. And, it's always about bringing you nuggets of information. So ask yourself today, from what we talked about, what can you take away from what we discussed today? And how can you implement that? It's not enough to just listen and absorb. You have to actually take action and ask yourself some questions and look at your business or look at your career and say, okay, where am I now and where do I want to go?
Where am I weak
and how can
areas?
How can I incorporate different types of events into what I'm already doing or what I want to do to take it to the next level this year and next year and continue to grow and expand. So thank you so much for spending your time with us, and we look forward to talking to you again soon. Have an awesome day. Bye, guys. We love hearing from you, so please leave your comments and feedback and submit any questions you have. We'd also love for you to like us on Instagram, Facebook, and Pinterest, and subscribe to our page on YouTube and hit that little bell to be notified when our videos go live. If this episode resonated with you or you got value out of it, please share and tell your friends and colleagues so together we can continue to build a thriving event community. Sharing and telling others really does help, and that's how we're able to grow this community and reach more people. We appreciate you and look forward to bringing you another value-packed episode. Remember, it only takes an instant to make an impact.